people want to manifest comes from an egoic place. The ego wants to, by achieving this or that, the ego wants to feel more powerful uh, than before. It wants to have an enhanced sense of identity through it by showing to other people that you have more than others. It wants to show its superiority. The ego always looks for superiority, and so that could be uh, uh, you may still get what you want, but your power will be greatly diminished if it's an egoic endeavor. But even with an egoic endeavor, sometimes even that it could still work with hard work and determination. You might get it, but it won't make you happy. When you get it, you very quickly will feel needy again.
Interesting.
So
why is that? Why do you think? Why do? I'm sure you know a lot of very famous rich billionaires and people with lots of money who are still suffering and aren't happy inside once they got the thing they wanted. Why is it that people suffer and struggle when they have lots of money and have the big homes? Why this is still not enough?
Yes, well, to the ego, it's never enough. To the ego, nothing, because the ego is a sense of lack, sense of not good enough, not enough yet. So it's never enough for the ego. And if you have everything that the world tells you, you really should be happy now because you've got, and I've met people like that, they've got money, huge amounts of money, they've got fame and recognition and the private jet, and they've got, can do anything, go anywhere at any moment. And that can be particularly bad, counterproductive, because you cannot fool yourself. The ego cannot fool itself by saying, when I get this, I'll be happy. Because then you can still postpone. The ego can say, once I achieve that, I'll be happy. But the person who already has everything, he or she cannot say that anymore because you have no way. There's no excuse anymore, and because you have everything and you're not happy. So then, and this is very often people then start taking drugs or engage in other kinds of seeking sensory satisfaction through substances, or going from one relationship into another, having sex or whatever they do, because they can buy anything they want, and they get getting more and more unhappy because they do all, the ego was there, and the ego will never be satisfied, no matter what you achieve. In the Course in Miracles, it says, I don't know if you've in there, it says you will always know when whether the ego was at work when once you achieved it, it hasn't satisfied you. That was
Right.
ego.
Yeah.
So there's another saying that goes, there are two ways of being unhappy. One is not getting what you want, and the other one is getting what you want.
Wow.
That refers to the ego. So
Sure.
some people are unhappy because they don't get what they want, and the others are unhappy because they get everything they want. But it's still ego.
What do you think? How does someone be happy while they're on the path of trying to manifest, more in their life, a better relationship or better qualities that they have in their current relationship, more career success, money, things like this? How can they be happy no matter what happens? It comes to you or it doesn't?
Happiness starts with the alignment with the present moment. It can only arise if you're aligned with the present moment. I sometimes call that the vertical dimension of life, which is now. And then there's a horizontal dimension of life, is where it's past and future, and you have a goal you're working towards. That's fine. You have the horizontal dimension. And the vertical dimension is the present moment. The horizontal dimension is the dimension of becoming. You become good at something, or you acquire something. You become something. There's an evolutionary process at work, and that obviously has its place. It's there. But if you're exclusively focused on becoming and achieving and attaining and acquiring, you're trapped on the horizontal, and you can never really enjoy the present moment. Because the present moment is the vertical dimension, is here and now, inseparable from the now. The cross, the symbol of the cross, one could interpret as, which is an ancient, it even predates Christianity. The symbol of a cross can be interpreted as pointing to the intersection between the horizontal and vertical dimension of life. That is the importance then is to discover the dimension, the vertical dimension, which is the power of the now, the present moment, and then the horizontal dimension works better, and you're not dependent on it for your ultimate satisfaction. You're not dependent on any kind of achievement, attainment, or whatever it is that on the horizontal dimension for your art. It may give you some kind of satisfaction, but not the deepest satisfaction. The deepest satisfaction is inseparable from going more deeply into the present moment and discover the essence of who or what you are as consciousness itself, presence, here and now. And you in other words, you could say, you sense the beingness of you. You sense that you are, and there is an enormous power there that has no form. You can't interpret it. It's the power of aliveness itself, here and now. It goes far beyond who or what you are as a person. The person exists on the horizontal dimension, but there is a deeper dimension to who you are that is only discovered in the vertical dimension. In the vertical dimension, you are already complete. There's nothing to achieve there. You're already full and complete.
That's so hard for people to comprehend when they don't feel complete.
On the horizontal, you're not complete, and you'll never be complete.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because no matter what you achieve, if you become good at one thing, you lose something. There's always a world of polarities on the horizontal dimension. That even I find that still you achieve great things. I've been teaching spiritual awakening for many years. In the past, I had intimate groups of 10, 20 people. Now there's hundreds or thousands
Arenas.
of people often come.
Yeah.
I don't have the close relationship with individuals anymore. It's just can't. I'm reaching many more people, but I've lost this closer connection with the people that I'm teaching. There's always a price to pay. On the other hand, I'm reaching far more people than before, but there's always a price to pay. Even privacy. I'm not a great celebrity, but I do. Wherever I go, people say, "Oh, I got." And the moment it happens, it's wonderful. I love the connection that I feel, but I do lose privacy because sometimes people watch what's he eating, what's he doing, why is he drinking coffee, whatever.
I thought he was spirit-full, yeah.
Yeah. So you lose something. On the horizontal, there's always gain and loss, the world of polarities, and the becoming dimension. You become. Again, has a positive and a negative side. On the one hand, you can become stronger as you grow up. You can become more knowledgeable. You become wealthier, but eventually the becoming becomes negative because then your body becomes weaker because you get old. And maybe you lose something, and then you become. So the becoming, there's the polarities operate on the horizontal dimension, but it's without the access to the vertical dimension, nothing can satisfy you truly, purely on the horizontal dimension. So the vertical dimension is the present moment. To realize that the power of the present moment that is inseparable from who or what you are in your essence, the power of you, and that is not an egoic thing. because this you far transcends who or what you are as a person. It connects you with the identity of the universe itself. It's the I am without adding anything to it. I am. In the Old Testament, prophet meets God and asks God, what is your name? And God says, I am the I am. That is a very deep statement. That is the beingness itself. Beingness itself. And you can feel that, you can sense that here and now. When for a moment your mind subsides, you're not thinking anymore without making an effort. You're not thinking anymore. And who are you without any thought? You can't explain what it is, but you can sense that there is a light of consciousness. There is a presence.
Right.
An inherent sense of aliveness. Sometimes people can feel it with the entire body, that the entire body is pervaded by a sense of aliveness. You are. That's the ancient Greeks already said, know thyself as the most important thing in life. Know thyself. And that refers to the deepest knowing yourself as consciousness. And then the person still operates for a while, and it operates actually much better when you're connected to that which transcends the person.
Right.
Where for those people who are comfortable with theistic language, you could say that connects you to God. That is a deeper connection to the source of all life. You're connected to that. I see the consciousness that you share with every human being. When you look at another human being, you interact with another human being. On the one level, you have the personality, horizontal dimension, the conditioning, mental, emotional conditioning. You're interacting with a person, but you're also interacting with consciousness.
Yes.
Which is beyond the person. And when you can sense the consciousness that you are is also the consciousness that the other person is, you can sense the oneness of that consciousness. And that sensing of oneness is ultimately the deeper meaning of love.
Right.
Love is to recognize the other as ultimately one with who or what you are. One, the recognition. I would say love is the recognition of oneness. It's not the egoic love that says, I need you, don't you dare leave me, because if you do, I'll hate you.
Right.
That's not that. That's the egoic so-called love. But the real love is to recognize yourself in the other. But in order to do that, you need to first recognize yourself in yourself beyond the person. So, and that connects you with other humans in a very different way. This sense of connectedness that you then have.
Yes.
It's the word for it, one could use this, there's a goodwill flows out from you towards others. Even others that you might only meet casually for a few seconds. You can sense an outflow of goodwill and connectedness, and feel so good to recognize there is a human being there. My interpretation of human being is the English language doesn't have a word that refers to both men and women. So you have to say human being. In German, you have a word Mensch, which is a human being, could be either man or woman. But in English, you have to say human being. And I love that because the human dimension is the person that lives on the horizontal dimension. The being is the essence of who you are. And it's our destiny to recognize our being, which is far beyond the person. And then you become, this is the human, and this is the being. And then you are a true human being when you realize the being of yourself, because then you sense it in others too. And then you can love others. That's the beauty of it.
You mentioned love just now. I'm curious about you. When do you feel the most loved? When you're going about your day, when do you feel the most loved personally?
I don't differentiate between loving and being loved. It's all one. So I feel that the connection is there the moment I interact with somebody. There is that connectedness, and sometimes people respond, something within them responds back, and then you get the same energy back. They may not know why. Let's say you're in a restaurant, and I'm in a restaurant and I'm ordering. The waitress comes, and so you have, on the one hand, on the human level, you are the guest or the client in the restaurant, and this person is the server. That's on the human level, you have your identity. But is that all there is? No. The server is this is only a temporary function. It's not the real identity of this human being. And I'm not, my identity is not to be a client or guest of this restaurant.
Right.
It's a temporary thing. So am I able to recognize the being in this human? The human is the server, but behind that there's a being. And when I look at this person, and there's a really, let's see if I can describe it, how I experience it. There's while the person talks to me, there's a still presence. I listen through the still presence. In that still presence, I can sense beyond the human, the beingness of the other also. I can sense their beingness. And that is the connection. And then it sometimes happens that they can feel something, they feel acknowledged in their beingness. They may not be able to interpret that, or they may misinterpret
without you saying anything. Without you saying anything,
nothing to say. And so usually it means that they like you. They feel attracted to you. They love you as a person, and they like to be in your presence. There's a positive response. And that is, one could say, that is love coming back at you. So you send it out, and you don't always get it back. Sometimes the person may be so deeply trapped in their ego that nothing much gets through, and that's fine. That's where they're at the moment. But it still feels good to feel this emanation. But very often, when the emanation is reflected and then comes back, and then you feel loved too. Of course, usually the other person doesn't understand it at a deeper level, doesn't understand that what they love in you is not the person, it's something deeper, and that connects both of you. So I feel it's always, the process is always mutual. I feel even when you love a flower, even the flower, there's a certain, this might sound a little mystical, but there's a certain response that you get. The way I should put it, sometimes when I recognize and appreciate the beauty of a tree or a flower, this is similar, because even the flower or the tree is a manifestation of consciousness at a different vibrational frequency from a human. So everything is a vibration of consciousness that has taken temporary form. So the flower, the tree are also a manifestation of consciousness. And when I recognize and appreciate the beauty of the flower or the tree, there is a sense of oneness, and in that moment the tree can sense that it is being recognized, and it becomes aware of its own beauty through you. So you redeem nature, you add something to nature by recognizing the sacredness and beauty of nature. You add something to nature.
Wow.
And then we can say nature loves you back too. You can sense
wow, that's
that.
Beautiful.
So I sometimes recommend people should go to a tree and allow the tree to teach you stillness, because the tree is there. It's deeply rooted in the earth and its branches, and it's very still. It might have been there for 100 years, 200 years. It's still. You approach it, And nature can teach you, anything in nature can teach you that the stillness connect you with the dimension that's beyond egoic consciousness.
Wow. This is beautiful, Eckhart. Is there anything?
And just being and doing is another way of putting it. The being dimension is the vertical, the doing dimension is the horizontal. The two are important. Some humans are more drawn towards doing, creating, manifesting.
Yes.
Others are more drawn towards being, appreciating what is, and may not have many goals to achieve. They might be happy doing their gardening or whatever they feel they want. And every human has to find a kind of balance between being and doing. Nobody probably is completely in the middle, or it's very hard to be completely in the middle. You're totally balanced between being and doing. I'm always more inclined to, I'm in the being dimension. And for a few years, when I was younger, I experienced a kind of awakening. I was kind of so much in the being dimension that I lost interest in any kind of doing for a few years.
Really?
It was so,
Wow.
The present moment was so joyful and beautiful. And I had no money, nothing. For a while I had no home, but it was lovely, sitting on park benches. Present moment was so fulfilling. And then gradually I was able to start doing again. And now I am still, I love just to be, to contemplate nature, or even just to sit in a room and just be. But I'm able to do, because I wrote the books, I do teachings, I travel, so I give talks and retreats. So I'm able to function on that level. But the irony is that all my doing is in the service of teaching being.
Ask those. I want people to get your books. Again, The Power of Now is one that I read many years ago that I highly recommend to everyone. And also this book as well, which is become, more popular in the last few years. I feel like it's got this resurgence, even though I think it's 15 years ago you wrote it, I think.
In fact, Oprah said, if you only read one book in your life, read A New Earth.
A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. So make sure you guys get both copies.
The ultimate truth is one, and so you can, out of the one, so you can extrapolate, and several other truths may arise out of the one. The ultimate truth is realize who or what you are. Realize that you are, in essence, not a person. You are consciousness. You are a manifestation of universal consciousness. You are the universe experiencing itself as a human. You are the consciousness of the universe experiencing itself briefly, but you are far beyond. Realize who or what you are beyond the person. So that's the ultimate truth. Then realize that you are not the ego that is discovering who or what you are not. And realize the possibility of living without suffering, the suffering that's created by the human mind, the possibility of being free of suffering, free of unhappiness. And the way towards that is radical acceptance of the isness of the present moment. The radical acceptance of the isness of now, that will take you to a deep place of realization of who or what you are, and you're not the ego. Realizing who you're not is important part of it's kind of negative realization, who you are not. Once you realize who or what you are ultimately not, then who or what you are emerges naturally.
That's beautiful. Final question for you, Eckhart. What is your definition of greatness?
Well, of course, as you know, one can give many, many definitions according to one's level of consciousness, but at the deepest level, greatness is, again, when you go to the deepest level, the answer is always the same, by the way.
Yeah.
Greatness is to live consciously, to embody consciousness in this lifetime, to embody the unconditioned consciousness in this lifetime. That is greatness. And then other things arise out of that. You affect the world in many different ways by living as consciousness and consciously rather than as an egoic entity. So then you begin to change the world, even if you don't say, I am going to change the world. It happens organically and naturally. And the way in which you experience the world is always a reflection of your state of consciousness. So you begin to experience a different world when you are aligned with what I call the unconditioned consciousness. That is who or what you are in your essence. That is the greatness is to have fulfilled your purpose in this incarnation on this earth. And that is to be part of the evolving consciousness of the universe. That is greatness, to have fulfilled your purpose. And all the outer conditions are secondary. And theoretically, you could have fulfilled your purpose even in the prison cell when you come to this realization.